Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Tragedy struck the Medical Association of Nigeria when one of its beloved practitioners, Dr. Diasu Waire, died after the elevator she was in crashed. The Lagos State chapter of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, further declared an indefinite strike. NMA chairman Dr. Benjamin Olowo Jebutu and its secretary, Dr. Ismail Ajibowo, stated that late Dr. Diasu Waire was said to be trapped in the elevator for more than 40 minutes before she was rescued.
Now, Dr. Waire, who's a medical house officer serving at the General Hospital of Lagos, died on the 1st of August due to injuries sustained when the hospital elevator she was in crashed from the 10th floor of the building. The NMA has directed doctors working at the General Hospital as well as Lagos Island Maternity Hospital and Massey Street Children's Hospital to commence the strike until a thorough investigation into the cause of Dr. Waire's death is completed and justice is served.
Joining us this morning is Joy Aifo. She's a medical doctor who used to work at the same hospital with Dr. Waire. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
First of all, we'd like to extend our condolences to you and to the rest of the medical body. And, for this loss is an unfortunate loss that could have been prevented, but we'll come into the details of this. We'd like you to talk to us. We know that you had a relationship with Dr. Waire. How is the Medical Association taking this? How is the family taking this? How are you taking this?
Thank you very much for having me. So I think the large part of this is me just wanting to believe that it's a bad dream and this isn't happening to us, especially because this is an issue we have complained about over and over again. How are we taking it? We are devastated. We are angry. We are enraged. Waire was our friend. I went to medical school, that's Babcock University with Waire. I worked a year before her because she had a receipt in a course. So we would have worked together at the same time at HSC. The entire Babcock University is devastated and we are just angry. And at this point, all we want and all we're asking for is justice for our friend.
You said, you've complained about this, over and over. Tell us about that part. What exactly was the challenge with the elevator, and who were these complaints made to? What other things, were doctors really complaining about with the infrastructure there?
Okay, so first of all, the Health Service Commission is the body that is in charge of general hospitals in Lagos State, Nigeria. And where I worked was Lagos State Island Maternity General Hospital, where this incident happened, and Massey Street Children's Hospital. So the doctor's quarters is inside of the general hospital. So it's a 10-story building apartment. And ideally, a 10-story building apartment should have a functional elevator, because that is how people are able to move from like the 9th, the 10th floor to the ground floor. When I came into that facility in 2021, the elevator was not working. I had seniors that worked there as far back as 2019, and the elevator was still not working. It would work for some days and spoil. They will complain, they will come in, make repairs, and then it will spoil again. So this has been a repeated, consistent issue since as far back as 2019, and these are people that I know and can even come and speak about it as well. We have complained about it severally. First of all, to the facility manager who is on ground there. He has someone someone who is a superior at the Health Service Commission. We have spoken to the CMD of the General Hospital. Both the former and present CMD are aware of this. We have spoken to HSC. We have written letters to the chairman of HSC. We have written letters to the permanent secretary of HSC. The medical guilds are aware of this. NMA is aware of this. Everybody, we have letters that go far back as 2021, letters we wrote that they signed on these letters, and we have evidences of this. So this has been a complaint. So it goes this way. If there's no lights, there's no water, and the elevator doesn't work. Initially, when I moved into that place, we had lights for, let's say, 16 to 18 hours a day, and it continued to deteriorate. What they told us that it was that time when there was scarcity of gas, so they said, they were rationing gas and everything. But what we realized is that other facilities who were connected to that same power plant around General Hospital will have lights. but the doctor's quarters will not have lights. The general hospital would have lights, street lights, to tell you how infuriating it is. Street lights will be on, but doctors who were supposed to be saving lives will not have lights in their quarters. These lights move from 16 to 18 hours to 10 hours to 8 hours to 6 hours at a point, which is the current ratio. The doctors have lights for like 2 hours. How are we supposed to survive without light? With light for just 2 hours. So if there's no light, the elevator doesn't work. This means people have to carry buckets of water because there's no water as well to shower. I was on the 6th floor. I would carry buckets of water on that floor and walk 6 floors just to shower, and you cannot be late to work. When you explain to your consultants, they'll tell you, oh, in their time they had it harder, and we should find ways to fix it. We have letters also that we wrote to these consultants telling them of this problem. So it's not an accident or something they are surprised about. They are all aware of this problem.
You've mentioned a number of people in this conversation. You've mentioned the CMD, the HSC, the facility manager. I did see a video of the CMD. I mean, you mentioned the former CMD and the present one as well. There was a video of the CMD addressing doctors and telling you people to protest meaningfully. I'm not quite sure exactly.
Grieve meaningfully.
Yeah. So I want to ask, what has been said by the people who have been mentioned? Have we gotten responses from the former CMD, the current CMD, the facility manager? What has been said, and are you certain that the right people will be able to take responsibility for what has happened?
With all due respect to all of these people who have, the current CMD addressed us yesterday. The wife of the governor of Lagos State addressed us yesterday. And in all of this conversation, nobody was held responsible. We asked questions and they asked us those questions in return. We said, who is responsible for the elevator in HSC? Who is responsible for the management of this facility we live in? And they kept on asking us the question back, kept on asking us back who we reported to, knowing fully well we have reported to this person. We were told that they are going to go into an investigation for 48 hours. I do not know why it takes them to investigate a scene of an event which we all know how it happened. We know what happened. We know how it happened. We know why it happened. So I'm confused as to what they want to investigate in, because they know the persons that are directly in charge of this facility, but nobody's calling a name. Nobody is saying, oh, this is the person that is responsible for this. This is the person that is responsible for this. So we are waiting for their feedback before we take any steps, because the truth is that we know how this works. We make a complaint, something happens, they claim to investigate the matter, and then it's swept under the carpet, and we are expected to move on with life. But we do not want to move on with our life because our friend died. And this is not the first doctor that would die because of negligence of a hospital or a facility. So they said they are investigating 48 hours, which ends tomorrow morning. So we are waiting. Medical Guild sent a statement this morning, said they had a press meeting, certain arrests will be made or have been made. I responded and said, what are the names of those people that have been arrested? And we have evidences, pictures, videos of these people that have been arrested. So that is where we are at right now.
All right. What do we expect to happen if, doctors don't see that justice has been served? I mean, what exactly would justice even be for Dr. Ewari, in this situation, and of course for the rest of you? What would you describe as justice?
So what we see happening here, and I might not have the proper legal term or terminology, is somewhere in between a murder and a manslaughter, because we are aware that someone has been killed because of negligence, and someone is in charge of the facility management at HSC. What we just feel like is all of these persons who are supposed to be in charge of the management of that facility who were informed repeatedly about the management of that facility, who were informed of all the problems we face, but just told us to move on with life. We want all of them to feel legal action. They should be questioned. And somebody has to go to jail. If someone is supposed to spend a lifetime in jail, if there's going to be a firing squad for someone whose negligence is the result of someone's death, because if someone dies, it means that that death happened as a result of something. It's either the person was shot or the person was run over by a car, and we see that the accuser in that part goes to jail or is faced with a sentence. Someone has to face a sentence.
If we get to
Someone
court,
has to.
if we get to court, hopefully, the court will determine, what
All of that.
what exactly.
I
Olive,
hope
I think
we
Olive wants to
don't
throw in
get to
something.
have to go to court, because we know who these people are. But yeah.
Okay. Before we get to court, I'd also like to ask, what were some of the? It's an unfortunate thought to think of Dr. Waire's last moments and the fears that she had and the challenges, that she had to experience in that moment. But if you can share with us some of the challenges that presented itself that unfortunately led to her death, aside the crashing of the elevator. We've been reading reports about problems with blood transfusion and problems with not being able to set line, not being able to get oxygen. So we'd like you to give us a clearer picture.
And I think about 40 minutes before she was even, brought out of the elevator. Is that true also?
So if I don't know if you saw the videos of what happened. So the elevator crashed somewhere in between the ground floor and the first floor. So she was basically suspended in between the crane of the elevator and the bottom. So it was her friends, first of all, that came down and realized this, and then they tried to open up the door. And Waire is tall, so you can't just say, oh, stand up and come out. Any little mistake, that crane that you are seeing will have collapsed on her. Immediately this happened, her friends called on the facility manager and told him, this is what's happening. Can we get expert engineers or someone to help us mindfully pull her out immediately? It took them 40 minutes to get the engineering team to come down there. And they came in suits. How do you come to rescue someone from an elevator? This is a critical situation. It is obvious that they did not take this as an urgency. This was not taken as an emergency. Calls were made to keep people in HSC. Nothing was done. They said, oh, the company is coming to pull her out. 40 minutes. We lost 40 minutes of rescue time that we would have used. Bear in mind that she had already faced laceration.
All right. We hope we can be able to reconnect. All right. Please go ahead. All right. We're having some network challenges this morning. We're hoping that we
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. We can hear you now.
All right. So I'll just wrap this up quickly. She had fractures. She had multiple lacerations. It took them 40 minutes to get the engineers to get to her. When they finally got to her and they were able to pull her out, they got to the emergency. First of all, because she had lost so much blood, her veins, her lines were already collapsing. So they needed the ideal thing is to set up fluids, get transfusion going and all of that. There was no anesthesiology on ground at that moment to get her a central line. It took cajoling medical officers before, as at the time that an expert, anesthesiologists and consultants and all those people came, they were already doing CPR. So we lost like 1 hour, 30 minutes of rescue time that we would have resuscitated her immediately. All of them lost. The CMD was aware of this. Why was there no oxygen masks, resuscitation team, doctors, consultants? Why were our consultants missing at the scene? Why were they not in front of that elevator ready to pull? It took a medical officer that was not even on work to go there and get a stretcher. And that was the stretcher that was used to pull Waire out of this. So we see that there is a negligence, like our lives are not valued because we know how they treat their people. If it was someone up there, we know how this situation will have been handled.
But this basically paints a picture of what the situation is like in that hospital. It's not. This is not just a situation that would have affected Dr. Waire. I mean, any other person, in an emergency situation would have dealt with the same thing. So this basically says that that particular hospital, that particular, healthcare facility is not even adequate for emergency cases in any way.
Exactly. We have so they are vital machines that once a patient comes in, you should set them up. They give you BP reading, pulse, and all of that temperature. Almost all of them do not work in that emergency. We have complained and complained and complained. They'll tell you, oh, use your speed, use manual this thing, do your work. Oh, you're always complaining, these house officers. These things don't work, and they are affecting everybody. People will come to the hospital and feel like, oh, doctors, you are rude, you're proud, you don't want to affect us. We are handicapped. We do not have the tools that can help you survive. And Nigerians have to begin to understand this. The problem is not doctors. The problem is that we are working in a system that is polyfunctional, that has no infrastructure whatsoever to save you. And if we do not have those infrastructure, how do we work? That is what's happening.
We're so sorry, that we have to make you relieve the unfortunate situation and, go through these emotions again. And this is also telling of what the medical situation around the country is, why we keep seeing young medical doctors fleeing the country in their droves. Do you also worry about yourself, Dr. Joy? Typically, it feels like you're coming, you're sharing this with us. Do you worry that this might in some way implicate you because it might then it will reveal that you're telling what is going on? Do you worry about yourself and what this will mean for you in the medical profession?
I have no worries whatever, because it will have been me. I worked there. I was in that elevator severally. I got stuck there at one point in my life. There. Do I worry of the implications? What should happen, but things have to be done right. Our country has to work properly. So if somebody is going to speak about it, if somebody is going to say it, I don't mind being the villain. I've always been, they called me a looter during my time there. They said, oh, I'm always fighting management. I should have been a politician. It's not today. It has always been a thing said. Yesterday, people told me, oh, I should stop talking. I should stop posting their names. They are handling it. I should stop calling out my superiors. I will not stop because my friend died. And even if my friend did not die, like, these things have to be said. And I don't know why we live in a country that we like concealing things and covering things.
All right.
Enough is enough. So we have to talk about it.
All right. Dr. Joy, once again, we apologize. And of course, we're very sorry for the pain that you've had to deal with. We hope that, of course, the Lagos State government and every other person who is responsible should take charge of this situation and ensure that no other life needs to be lost in such a terrible, terrible way. We will speak with you again, hopefully. But of course, once again, our condolences and have a peaceful day.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.